What's happening, guys? This video is something that's interesting to me because for a long time I kind of followed the mud flood, Tartarian mud flood situation where people believe that there might have been an older, more advanced civilization that was brought down by cataclysm, and the result of whatever that cataclysm happened to be was buried buildings from about 1870 and back. Any buildings older than that, people started noticing signs of, like windows, that you'll see the top arch of a brick window with an arch at the sidewalk level. Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Why would that, what happened there? Or partial windows that they later bricked back in. So if they had to brick them back in, clearly it was an afterthought. So an afterthought to what? And it's not, they say in these videos, well, go out in your own town and look for this evidence. So I did, and I found it. And not only that, but I started kind of documenting, taking pictures of it, because that's something a bug guy needs to know. I treat for termites, buildings of this type. And I need to know all about the foundation. I need to know for certain if there's another buried floor below the grade in order to treat properly. And as it turns out, a couple of years went by of me sort of flippantly enjoying the Grand Tartarian civilization videos. A lot of people call it mud flood, or the mud flood buildings, or what have you. So I was into it a little bit, spent a little time when I was wasting time kind of watching those videos. And I would take pictures from time to time. I'd be like, look at this. This is crazy. This is exactly what they're talking about. Well, my big opportunity came, and you'll see it upcoming, is on this particular video because I was asked to go do a termite inspection on a building. And I started looking around the outside and noticing that on the buildings across the street, it looked like there might be a buried level because there was cutouts in the street that were kind of protected, I guess, from water flow. And you could look down through those vents and see a window like another 2 feet below the sidewalk. And I thought, well, that's probably the condition over here on the building I'm looking at. So I asked him, is there a way to get under this building? Do you have a basement? He said, no, we have a crawl space. I said, a crawl space? Okay. So I said, how do I get to it? And he says, go out to the back of the building, and there's 2 metal plates. Lift those plates up, unlock the lock, lift the plates up, and jump down in there, and you can enter right there. Well, okay, and I did that, and I already thought, wow, that's pretty cool. So anyway, I open up the thing, jump down in there, and what am I faced with but the rest of this building clearly going down, and a window right there underground, eaten alive by termites no less, but there it sat. A window underground and brickwork and all this, and it's the rest of the walls. If I could walk underneath the sidewalk and put my hands on the bottom of the sidewalk. So now we're having a real good time. You'll see in the video. Hope you enjoy it. Termite inspector finds mud flood evidence. Enjoy. I hope this is interesting for you. Of course, by now, most folks are familiar with the idea of the mud flood theory, which sets forth the notion that every city older than about 150 years has buildings with features that point to a cataclysm which resulted in buildings with one or more buried levels. Windows that have been bricked in and sit at or below ground level top the list of clues cited by proponents of the theory. Initially, I personally found the idea to be at least interesting. The theorist proposing such an idea suggested exploring aged buildings in one's own downtown area. So I did. I began noticing and documenting buildings in many cities, because as a termite inspector, this has particular relevance to me professionally, regardless of whether or not the theory of Grand Tartarian was true or not. As a termite inspector, the true foundation of a building is crucial to treating and solving termite infestations. Little did I know that soon a discovery of a window buried below grade beneath the sidewalk, an unknown buried level, would become evident in one of my inspections, but it certainly did. If you'll notice, as we turn with the camera here, and I apologize if it's a little shaky, and we were 8 feet underground. Notice that brick level. That's the street level. That's not the side that the building's on. That's the street level with a layer of brick covered by rocks. That suggests to me that that might be the rest of this building. And here's good proof that this window underground is indeed an issue. If I didn't know it was there, I wouldn't be able to stop termites because I wouldn't know where they were coming from. These termites had gone from what is now the crawl space of this building up many levels. But the place that you have to treat termites is at the ground level. You have to cut them off. So obviously you need to know where the foundation of the structure is to begin with. This window was particularly infested, and as we went through the structure, we found more and more places where they were. Now, we thought this building stood on a slab. We had no idea that the building kept going below grade. So now if you look here, that's the sidewalk. I'm touching the bottom of the sidewalk, and there's the cavern we jumped down in. On the right is the layer of rock and brick, and I find this incredibly interesting. This is a very old building. Hopefully I can illustrate to you here why it is important to know what's going on and what the actual construction is regarding the foundation. As you can see along here, this foundation is riddled with termite tunnels and damage. And on the outside, you would never know by looking at it. The outside of the structure, there are no tunnels whatsoever. Inside the structure, along the inside of that foundation wall, and they've come up between the slab that is poured and the support foundation, which is hollow block. They could be coming up through multiple places. And I guess the main point is that a lot of these buildings older than 1870 do have what appears to be buried levels. So independent of whether or not there was some former previous advanced civilization called Tartaria, and that's who these buildings belong to, and they were destroyed in a cataclysm or not, it doesn't really matter to us and our industry. That's something worth looking into because it is in every single city I've gone to. I find buried windows, buried levels, buildings you would assume were, structurally speaking, were sitting on grade. And they're not. They go down 1, maybe 2 floors. But alas, anywho, I'm here today to talk to you about termites, not about conspiracy theories. Hope you've enjoyed this and hope you've learned something.